Well, hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. We're so thrilled that you're here. And we have such a powerful message for you today from Dr. Michael Gross, the gentleman right here.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dr. Michael Gross, and that is my sister, Gionette.
Yes, I am. Michael has a powerful message, but before we get going, what I wanted to do is I want to thank everybody for taking time to join us and also sharing this with your friends because we keep everything, the recordings are still here, okay? Even though the time comes and goes and we all realize that everybody's got busy lives. So if you have a busy life, it's okay. The recording will still be here. So pop in anytime, right? And
Absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce you, Michael. And then we're going to go ahead and get on with this topic because it is a 30-minute presentation that we do. All right. And that way we get everything back to you guys with respect for your time. Okay. So today our topic is, you want to tell them, Michael?
Fear versus life.
How cool is that? And we'll get to that in a minute. First, I want to let you know a little bit about Dr. Michael Gross. He is an author, professional keynote speaker, transformational coach, and an entrepreneur. For more than 3 decades, he's been on a spiritual path as an intuitive, a healer, a spiritual counselor, and an incredible teacher. Through the guidance of spirit, Michael has assisted others in their personal quest for self empowerment, helping them to create the lives that they have long sought and to bring forth their own intuitive abilities. Michael currently teaches classes in spirituality, self empowerment, Reiki, and other modalities. Quite the collection, huh, Michael?
It sure is. I'm honored to be able to do that.
I'm thrilled that you're part of my life and what you're teaching me. And I got off the script, but I do that from time to time. Um, Back on, this is the only thing we script, okay? And this is because I want to make sure that Michael gets all the credits that he's worked so hard for. I want everyone to know just what a skilled and knowledgeable young man Michael Gross is. So, in concert with God, the true source, he has also achieved great success and miraculous healings. He remains humble, knowing that the work that he does all comes from God, the true source. Michael lives in Lakewood, Washington, and has launched his nonprofit. And why don't you take a minute or two to share a little bit about your nonprofit, Michael?
The International Institute of Self Empowerment is a 501c3, and it's dedicated to learning about self worth, self love, and self esteem. And I would tell you, all of us came in this incarnation to learn about self worth, self love, and self esteem to whatever degree it is. And very soon the website will be up. And, I know it's a tax season will be ending on the 18th, but get in touch with me if you so desire. And we're a 501c3, which means we'll take a tax deductible donation. And of course, we'll give you a receipt for it. So thank you, everyone. And just to tell you quickly, there are 12 arms, and the first arm is dedicated to abused women, children, and men. And the director of that arm is Tio Knapp, who I feel is an expert in everything she's gone through and writing the book, Healing Your Holes in the Soul, and how she's a survivor. But we'll talk about that later. So thank you, everyone. I'd
Perfect.
like
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I'm honored to be part of the nonprofit. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself out so you can take over and talk about fear versus life, okay?
Wonderful. So thank you. Um, you know, in our life, every life is an experience, and every experience empowers us. And because it empowers us, we learn lessons from it. And right now, the whole planet is going through a great deal of chaos. A lot of it is fear driven. Well, we know the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. Think about that. False evidence appearing real. So, whatever our fears is or are, is an illusion. What's an illusion? It is something that appears in our life that pushes our button. That button is representing some lack of self worth, self love, self esteem, however it wears its clothing, so to speak, however it strikes you. But if we look at fear itself, fear is an illusion, but it's really very powerful. It's powerful not that it's negative, but it's powerful that it's positive Because whenever you have a fear, it's going, attention, attention, da 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 da, boom, sirens are going off. What are you afraid of? How did you learn this fear? Where did it come from? Why are you letting it take control of your life? Well, first of all, when a fear comes up, there are many different attributes. One of them is you feel you don't have control of your life. And that takes on different colors, different words, but it boils down to not having control of your life. Well, here's something that's really interesting. What is control of your life? It means having an outcome that your ego, da 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 da, bing bing bing, ego edging God out, desires. Because you're looking for recognition, you're looking for a pat on the back, you're looking for acceptance, you're looking for love, and you're looking to feel good about yourself. Well, what if I were to tell you you're already perfect, you're already complete? So, what kind of flaws do you have in your life? Those that you think are the flaws in your life. Now, everybody has gifts. Some people, I have a friend that's a nuclear engineer. That's not my bag. He's brilliant. I have a friend that's a lawyer. He's a good lawyer. That's not my bag. I'm not jealous. I have friends that run different businesses. That's not my bag. Do I live in fear that I'm not going to be able to achieve things? You can, but the answer is look at your life right now. And if your life is smoothly going along, I'm talking outside the fear, then you're successful. And if you're running into brick walls, it's not that you're not successful. It's a fear that's come up for you to look deep within your soul and say, wait a minute, I got a problem here. I have to change directions. And it's like going in a train, doing 100 miles an hour, and there's a cliff ahead, and the railroad tracks fall down into the cave, not the cave, but into the canyon. And you're thinking, well, why would I want to stay on this track and fall into the canyon? What can I do? Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. The train's going to go in the canyon. Or do I look for a spur where I can make a left or right hand turn and say, well, I'll stop and think, is there a solution? There's a solution to every fear in your life, except that part of it you feel helpless, you feel lost, you feel angry. What if you took that fear of feeling lost and angry and upset and say, I'm going to use it to find a solution. And what is the solution? Well, obviously, whatever direction we're going into no longer suits you. This is positive. It's positive. Don't look at it fearful because it's saying to you, okay, you accomplished this, you've gone in that direction. So how about changing directions and expanding it? And look at it this way. So you're baking a bread. All right. So use flour and water and sometimes shortening, could be butter or whatever. And then use yeast, right? And the yeast makes the bread rise. Think of it as I'm adding another agreement, yeast, that's going to make me rise out of the depth of fear and anxiety and insecurity and rising above to find a solution. Okay. That's what's important. So one of the terms is called reverse engineering. What is the solution? Well, how did you become successful at first? Even though you may have a little fearful roadblock now. And if you use that and take a left-hand turn or a right-hand turn, which means that you're going to change the way you do things, which will become more positive. So failure, as I've talked to before, means success because you've learned what worked, it didn't work. Look at fear. It's just the post signs that stop, like the big stop sign. You need to change directions. You need to look left. You need to look right. You need to look forward and see what's the best direction to go to. So I know what's in your mind. Well, I don't know the best direction. Yes, you do know. However, there are several ways you can do this. One is find someone in your field who is very successful. Say, I have a problem. I would like you to mentor me. I'm not trying to steal your secrets, but what would you suggest? But ask for an expert. And people who are very, very successful, they want to share their success with you because they're not worried about you being competition because they know they're a step ahead of you. I remember when I was a sales manager And one of my employees said to me one day, I'm going to have your job and I'm going to do better than you. And I said, Bob, that's really great. I thank you for doing that. Well, why? Because you're going to make me one half to one step ahead of you, but I will help promote you. And I was always a half a step to one step ahead of him. Not that he tried to sabotage me, but he tried to outdo me in marketing and sales. No way, because I made myself sharper and more successful. But in the end, because he was chasing me, he became more successful and made more money as well. So really, it was a win-win situation, and he didn't understand that. But that's something I'd like you to understand. So you learn from running into brick walls, you learn from fear, you learn from failure. Remember, means success. Remember, failure means change directions. You learn and move forward. The history says that every self-made millionaire has gone bankrupt at least once, sometimes twice, and they became a millionaire. Well, why did they become, broke? Why did they go into bankruptcy? Because they forgot to take a left-hand turn or right-hand turn. And now they turn around, and of course, they realize what works and doesn't work. So if I went to a mentor, let's say I wanted to be a stock investor, I would get a hold of Warren Buffett and say, "Hey, I want to invest in stocks. What can you share with me? Would you mind being a mentor?" Now, I wouldn't be interested in the stocks, and everybody, oh, what stocks is he buying? More or less his method, because that's what's important. So to use his methodology, that will make you successful in any business or any course you're taking. And I know to you wanted to say something, so go ahead.
I did. Thank you, Michael. You talk about looking forward and looking to the left and to the right, but don't people look back? They look at their past. And isn't that where the root of a lot of the fears come from?
Well, that's going in reverse engineering. So reverse engineering says, one, what'd you do to be successful? And number two, you have to find also the cause of why you went that way. So, the past predicts the present and the present predicts the future. So, if you're doing something in the past this way and you're doing in the present that it's not working, you got to reverse engineer and say, why did this work and why is it not working? Okay. And it would be very simple. So just think of Kodak camera said, wait a minute, they're coming out with cameras on their cell phones. What do we need to do? And Polaroid, which was a blue chip company, said the same thing. Where would they be today? Nope, they had blinders on. Well, we don't care about them. We're going to do things our way. Well, I call it winning the argument and losing the sale. So now we have Kodak that all but disappeared and Polaroid that all but disappeared and other camera companies. But then we look at Canon, and Canon's big, and some of the Nikon and some of the others, what they do? They became electronic, and they use all kinds of chips and everything to take electronic pictures. So I'm just talking about how some were able to adapt and some were not able to adapt. And that's so important. Here's a very good story. So living in fear. So what happened is the bean counters, the accountants at Sears and Roebuck says, cost too much money to make the catalog. Remember, the catalog was that thick, we couldn't wait to look at it. Did you know in the old days, you could buy a house. They would send a house to you and you would build it. When I was in Whitefish, Montana, they were talking about craftsman houses. And I said, oh, these are built by, expert carpenters. He said, no, craftsmen. The craftsmen, the things that came from Sears. They actually bought a house from Sears and parts and was labeled and they put it together. Well, the houses were still standing there after 70 and 80 years, 90 years. So what did I tell you? But getting back to the story, the bean counters, no, it's too expensive. And we shouldn't do, mail order and all this crud. And then it comes along Amazon. And what are they doing? Mail order business. And that's exactly what it is. And J.C. Penney the same way. Costs they didn't keep up. And the fear was they were going to lose money. And the fear was this and that. But nobody bothered to look at it. So just look at the history. But you are creative soul. You know innately the answers to everything. Give yourself a chance. Go out and have a cup of coffee. Walk away. Or do whatever you want. I'll share one more thing because I know Tio is biting at the bit to talk. But I remember when I so wanted to be an accountant, and so I was
Yeah.
yeah, that and I'll share this with you. So when we college, I kind of laughed at that acronym, constant pain in the ass. But the truth is that I vied away from that and did something else, which I'm more excited about. But I learned something about that. So everything you learn, everything you do, adds to your book of knowledge to overcoming fears and success. To you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I had a signal interruption. I couldn't quite hear everything you said, but what I wanted to say was, um, maybe you could review it when I ask this again. Um, when we a lot of times when we look at our past, we get frozen in our past, and it's the fear that stops us. Even though we reverse engineer, we end up going, "I'm not going anywhere because it didn't work the last time." And then here we are going, like those guys with the blinders on that didn't move forward with progress, and what happened to those companies. And we have to look at, am I frozen in the fear, or is this like a learned behavior? Can you address that a tiny bit?
Sure, I want to give another example and I'll address that. Univac, which was a corporation, um, and Univac, I'm sorry, was Sperry Rand developed Univac. It was a computer, big, huge computer. All it did was add and subtract. They didn't know what the dickens to do with it. So along came IBM, who had typewriters basically and adding machines. And they decided, we'll take this and buy it off your hands. And therefore, when they did it, the let's say the president and those on the board could see a future coming up with a computer. So what they did was they perfected it. And then after perfected, all it could do is add or subtract. They kept working with it. Then they leased the big heavy machines. And I remember a company I worked for had to be an air conditioned room because it ran a lot of heat and they had punch cards. And it became more and more successful. So there was a situation where somebody had the bull by the horns, huge success, and they didn't know what to do with it. Along comes IBM, and they turn around and became a mammoth company with it. What I'm trying to say is that they developed this, but they had fears about what they're supposed to do with it. So somebody else had a better idea. That's what's going on. So we have two examples: the fight or flight or frozen syndrome. Just because something did not work and didn't work then, maybe the timing was off. So you need to look around and decide, is the time right? Are we ready for a change? And if not, how can you adapt it or change it? I was reading in 1920, is it 1912, 14, 18, they had electric cars. They had electric cars. All of a sudden, oh my God, we got electric cars. Wow, that's wonderful. And in 1912, 14, or 16, they already had them. Were they as efficient as now? Of course not. But they had it, which was wonderful. And then they had the Stanley Steamer, which was a car that had a boiler and you would use, I don't know, wood or coal. And boy, even though that boiler probably weighed a ton, it was one of the fastest cars ever. So, but it was a pain in the neck to start the boiler and everything. So all these things are here, but people don't know what to do with it or didn't know what to do with it. So was their timing right on the batteries? Well, not really, because you couldn't go very far on it because they didn't have the batteries. Is that saying, well, battery powered cars would never work? They said that we wouldn't have the Priuses and all the cars, the electric cars today. So what I'm saying is it's a matter of timing. It's a matter of getting it ready. And then we had regular batteries, then we had alkaline batteries, and now we have other types of batteries that last longer. I don't remember all the names, and things keep improving. So if you run into a brick wall and you're fearful it won't work, ask if the timing is right or how you can tweak it. Now, many people say, well, I asked, how long did you wait? Well, I waited 3 seconds and I can get an answer. So I read a book years ago about the geniuses in corporations. And what they did many, many years ago, like 40 years ago, they would go to sleep and pose this question: how do I solve this problem? How do I solve this problem? And they would go to sleep and they'd have a dream, or they wake up in the morning with an answer. So at that time, I had a chain of delis and ice cream stores, and we're out of a product. And I go, okay, what do? I need this product. Company's closed. The manager screwed up in ordering. What do I do? What do I do? I went up, went to sleep, got up in the morning, called this person, was a competitor. Hi, it's Michael. Hey, have you got any of this? Yeah. Can I borrow some? I'll replace it in 3 days. Sure. Solve the problem. It was simple, but I was fearful. We're going to lose a ton of business. Business is going to go to pot. It's a weekend. It's a holiday, so on. So when you use your creative mind, because your mind is creative, by the way, and if you don't think it's creative, look at everything you've experienced in your life. Look at everything you've overcome. So here we are right now in this lifetime, and we are politically being divided. All right. Not only in the United States, all over the world. What purpose does it serve? That's what you need to ask yourself. What purpose? United we stand, divided we fall. Okay. I call it winning the argument, losing the sale. What is best for everybody? And what's happened is that our politicians are so interested in being right, they forgot to serve the people. In the Constitution, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. I think our politicians forgot it. So it's up to us to say, hey, listen to us, not your fears. What's doubt that's going to serve the community in a beautiful way? I was talking to somebody and I saw something in the future. I'm just checking our time. And in the future, in the 40s and 50s, I know we didn't lock our doors. And when somebody was sick, someone would bring over food or bake a cake, and your neighbor would be around you or they assist you. It doesn't happen anymore, or rarely. Everybody lives in their own cocoon. They're looking this way, fearful, and somebody going to hurt me, somebody going to steal something, somebody going to do this, and then living in total fear. Well, what you think you create, and what you create you experience. So that's the law. If you have a fear of your house broken in, then what will happen is your house will be broken into. Well, Michael, why would I do that? It's because you're supposed to learn a lesson. Do not live in fear. Your thoughts, your words, and your energies and your examples are a manifestation of your life. If you're living in fear, you're constantly manifesting fear, 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 fear. If you're living in joy and happiness, you're constantly manifesting joy and happiness, joy and happiness, joy and happiness. The secret is you don't espouse the word joy and happiness. You feel the word joy and happiness. You fear something, you'll create it. My philosophy is, well, why are you stocking up extra on this? Oh, because I know if I stock up extra on this, it'll never happen. So that's my attitude. So I carry a little extra gas in case, we have a power failure. Why are you doing that? Are you fearful that it's going to have a power failure? Nope. But I know if I've got extra, it'll never happen. So, is this flawed? In my reasoning, it works for me. So I'm not fearful. And of course, here in the Northwest, we do lose power occasionally, and when I lived on the farm, we lost power. It was the inauguration day storm back when President Clinton was made president. We had no power for 2 weeks. I had 100 gallons of gas, 2 generators, and I've survived handsomely. So that's just an example. But I see we're running close to out of time. So I want all of you to know, remember, fear is illusion, and you are in control of your life. Go ahead to you. Let's share some exciting information.
Thank you, Michael, for everything you shared with us today. This is amazing. And you're absolutely right. Don't be trapped in the prison of your own fears, because there's a beautiful world out here waiting for you, just as long as you take that first step out the door. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do on Tuesday nights, Michael?
Well, I'd be happy to. Every Tuesday night from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Pacific, now it's daylight savings time, we have what we call Soul Awakening. And that's where you call in, ask any question you so desire, and hopefully I can answer them. And then I deliver a 10-minute message. and there are 273 or 4 10-minute messages, but I want to get into that a little bit later. So I want to invite all of you to enjoy and coming into Soul Awakening at 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesdays. Challenge me with your questions. I hope I can answer them. And this is on freeconferencecall.com. And to you, why don't you give them that information?
The number you dial in on is 202-926-1059, and the access code, Michael?
125446#.
One more time on that number. It's 202-926-1059, and the code?
125446#. Using that same number on the second Saturday of every month, do a mass consciousness healing. And that goes from 9:55 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time to 11:01 Pacific Daylight Time, which is an hour and 6 minutes. If you join us a little late, and we're in silence, so I talk for 3 to 4 minutes, and then we go into silence, and then we come back and I speak for about 2 minutes. And in order to access that, it's the same codes. So why don't you give it one more time?
Absolutely, I will. It's also in the comments below on Facebook, okay? But the number again is 202-926-1059, and the access code, Michael?
125446#. And I call it the replay or repeat. And I like to share that with you because you're driving the car, you're stuck in traffic, you had a fight with your spouse or your boss, and you're in a bad mood, or you're grouchy, or things didn't go well. I know that never happens, but just in case, you can listen to what I call a replay, and it goes from number 3 to 273. Just whatever number you desire. Your soul will tell you what number, because I have people going, well, I don't know what number 78 was. Just what I needed to hear. So just trust that. And that's telephone number is?
Okay, you ready?
I'm ready.
It's 434-300-4170, and the access code, Michael?
125446#.
I'll give that one again. It's 434-300-4170. Michael, and the code?
The access code is 125446#. So it's the same number, access number, but the telephone number is different. Please share this information. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And every week, actually twice a week, there are 10-minute little messages. And the wonderful picture photography done by award-winning photographer T.U. Knapp. And we post the little sayings on them, and I give you a little bit 10-minute motivation, because right now we need to be motivated. Right now we need to get out of fear and doubt and insecurities. So with that being said, I want to share one more thing with you, and that is Tia and I have a book, and I want to recommend her book, Healing the Holes in Your Soul by Tia Knapp. It's how she is like the phoenix, mythological bird reborn from the fires. It's a must read. It's a wonderful book.
And start with this one, because if it wasn't for this book and this incredible man on my side, that book he's holding wouldn't have happened. It's written because of his encouragement and the tenacity that he's displayed working with me, because I am not the easiest person to work with.
I plead the Fifth Amendment. I plead the Fifth.
But here's the thing. This is a beautiful book, and it's his second edition. So there's extras in the second edition that weren't in the first. And what I love the most is that you can write in it. There's questions at the end of each chapter. And at first I was like, I'm not writing in this book. It's a great book. And then I thought, wait. And I started writing. And oh my gosh, the healing that happens when you write. So definitely get in touch with one of us to get copies of our books. We'd be happy to share them with you. It's an easy phone call or email. And here's one more thing that I want to go ahead and say too. This Saturday, which is a couple days away, is the next mass consciousness healing that Michael does, and our world so desperately needs our support and sending unconditional love and healing to our planet right now. There's so much turmoil going on. So definitely join us if at all you can. You know, I've done this one meditating in my car in parking lots. And I was, you know, this is so important for all of us to, you know, set that time aside and definitely support Michael on his YouTube channel. It's Dr. Michael B. Gross on YouTube, okay? And hit the subscribe button because we're trying to get his messages out to the world. And there are so many other people out there that can benefit from what he does for all of us. And I just had to say that, Michael, because you are an incredible gift in my life. And I know that the world is looking for someone to bless them like you've blessed me.
And that date, in case you're watching this, and maybe you're going to know if someone else is watching this, is April 8th, 2023. So it's the second Saturday. Reason that Tiu and I talk about our books is that we are not in the business to sell books, although some people are. We're in the spiritual energy and service to enlighten you, for each of you to want to share a way of healing, a way of empowering yourself, and a way of living your life with love and joy and happiness. That's what we do. I don't consider it a business. I'm in service to the true source, which in turn means I'm in service to you. That's why I recommend her book. I recommend my book because we want to change your lives and empower you, because you see, it's your life and it's all about you creating love and joy and happiness. It's about you finding yourself, healing your karma, and becoming enlightened. Therefore, I want to thank everybody. And on this particular time, Easter is coming up. So we want to wish you both a happy Easter, a happy Passover. We wish you joy and happiness. And we want you to know you are loved. Remember, you are unlimited. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you.
We love you.
Namaste.
Take care.